Okay, so we are back the next day. I was trying to figure out the best way to get the corrosion off of this joiner body. Um, and I think I found a solution using an electrolysis method. Um, I'm having a hard time. There's a set screw and actually the cutter head that keeps it on the drive shaft, and I'm having difficulty getting it out. Plus, I'm going to have to strip the paint and everything off the body of this to restore it anyway. So there's no harm in this thing having everything just fall off. I'm not sure how much paint's going to come off, but at least the rest will. So let me explain this electrolysis method. This board is supporting the jointer body inside this garbage can. When you do this, make sure whatever bin you use is plastic or something else that's not metal, non-conductive. On the sides, so where this clamp is, and then on this side, are steel bars that have been relatively cleaned. What I'm going to do is take my battery charger, put the negative on the part, so these wires are what's holding the part up. That should be good, and the positive on the steel bars. There's a wire, if you can see it here, running around from one bar to the other, so it should take all the stuff away. The can is water with sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate would be Arm & Hammer's super washing soda. This is not baking soda. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. The reason you want to use this is because when this process works, it releases hydrogen and oxygen. If you use sodium bicarbonate, it releases some other gas that's supposed to be harmful. So that part's submerged. It's in a solution of water and the sodium carbonate, and I have my battery chargers hooked up. My charger has the ability of, it's an old, I guess it's really not that old, it's a Schumacher, a 3 amp charge. So I'll do that so it's low and slow. The only difference between 3 amp and 15 amp is one will be faster, but one will be very aggressive. It won't hurt the part, but it does release a lot of gas really fast, and I don't want to do that. So let me get this going. Plug. I'm going to set it for 3 amps at standard. And right now it's only reading 0.7 amps. I'm not sure if you can actually see it on there. But what it's doing is run current now through here. And yeah, all the rust should fall off of my joiner body and should stick to those metal electrodes. I can actually see some movement in here already. Actually, let's crank it up to 15 amps, see what she does. So yeah, this is going to sit overnight. It's not a fast process, so take your time. I'm going to go do all kinds of other things before I do come back to this, and maybe later tonight in a couple hours we'll see where it's sitting. And otherwise it's going to wait till tomorrow. So I'm excited to see what happens. Actually, I guess got to thinking while we're stripping components and stuff, these are the small parts I've taken off that joiner so far. So nuts and bolts, those type of things. And what I did for these is I had them soaking overnight in distilled vinegar. Grab that. Regular jug, sorry, Singler. White distilled vinegar works really well as a rust removing agent. As you can see, a lot of these parts, most of the rust came off of them. They do still get some cleanup and stuff afterwards. It won't take everything off, but it does do a heck of a job. So if you want a solution that's not electrolysis, vinegar is a great way of going. But right now I'm just kind of stalling for time, waiting until the electrolysis has some results, so I'll be back then. Okay, so we're about 2 hours later. And now is a good time. We're going to check on the progress of this thing. You see all the foam that's generated on the top? That's from bubbles of rust coming from the bottom. And if we look closely, you can see it's actually stirring. And all these bubbles are hydrogen and oxygen releasing from the process. So let's pull this guy out of here. So for safety, unplug your battery charger first, and then you can disconnect the prongs. Otherwise you could actually get sparks, and you really don't want to do that. A bunch of hydrogen, a bunch of sparks, that never goes together. So let's take a look at this guy, kind of see where we're at here. It's let me grab a brush real quick. I'll take a look and see what this guy here is doing. There's my brush. There's my brush. Sorry about the light. This is just a steel bristle brush. So just look at that, it's falling right off. And we're only in here, you know, hour and a half or so. That is a gorgeous thing that's happening right now. So this will actually help the process. Taking this out and removing it like this. And I may do it one more time tonight before I go to bed. I'm going to let this actually work all night long. Look at that. That's incredible. Good paint strippers looking good. But then you get a bunch of fumes. It's really harsh. So I'm going to get this cleaned off. I'm going to put him back in the bath. And I won't record my next cleaning, obviously. I'll wait until tomorrow when I pull it out one final time, and we'll get this taken care of. So, catch you tomorrow. Okay, everybody. Sorry I didn't show this thing being pulled out of the water. Kind of in a hurry to get this done, so I'm just going to do a brief recording on what this process did overnight. We're just taking off nearly all of the rust. I didn't take off every single bit, but nearly all of it. You can see the casting is, actually you can see the texture in the casting because the rust is gone. I have cleaned this off. This gets a black residue on it during this process, and you just take kind of a Scotch-Brite and water and scrub as you're washing it off, and then you got to make sure you get it dry. Now that this is exposed raw metal, it will flash rust, and I actually shouldn't even be touching it with my hands because it will, so my hands can cause it to rust too. The only things that really did miss is around these holes you can see there is paint left over. The process will pull paint off, but what you have to do is or you don't have to do it. It'll only pull paint off if there's rust underneath. It won't pull the paint off if it's a good adhesion. So there is that. So right now I have dried this off, I've cleaned it off. It's pretty much ready to go. I'm gonna mask off I'm not gonna mask off anything tonight because I actually got to get the other parts in. So I'm gonna do this process for all the major components of this machine. So this piece is actually looks like aluminum, so it may not do anything. But here are the beds. The beds are going to go in next, and I'm going to try to do both of them at the same time. To kind of speed this process along a little, because after the beds are done, I can actually start painting components and putting it together. I don't have to wait till every single little piece of this thing is done to start putting this machine back together. And the faster I put it back together, the faster I can get some use out of it. So let me show you what it did to the bars. So it removes the rust from the part. The rust does have to go somewhere. In this case, it went on those nice clean steel bars that I had. Now they're no longer nice clean steel bars. It's been around water. This kind of looks like barnacle growth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these off again so they have a nice clean surface, and then stick them back in the water for all the next components. I will change the water between major parts. The water is absolutely filthy. Plus I need to recharge it with the baking soda, or the washing soda, to keep this process going. So let me get the rest of this stuff done, and I'll probably be back for the painting process. Okay, so what you just watched was me taping it off and painting it. I wasn't going to do it tonight, but I kind of needed to. I'm concerned that it was going to get flash rusted, so go ahead and shoot a little paint on it. Actually, what you saw me do was primer. Bare metal objects I like to paint. Air prime first with self-etching primer. Kind of eats into the surface. This is right here, and gives the paint something nice to bite into. So this will dry for a while, and it'll keep it safe until I get all the parts done and sealed off. So enjoy. Okay, everybody, back several days later. The electrolysis process is done. These parts are cleaned and primed. For primer, Rust-Oleum self-etch, I pretty much coat everything in this. It bites into the stuff that I wasn't able to scuff up during the stripping process. for paint. Use whatever you want after that stuff dries. Rust-Oleum, anything that stop rust, works real good for implements. This is hammered gray. Just happens to be what I have. I wasn't going to buy new stuff for this. This is all old paint that I'm sitting on. So. Alright, so my procedure for this stuff is 3 coats, 45 minutes to an hour between coats. My shop is currently 73 degrees, so pretty good to do in here. I'm going to get the rest of the stuff painted up, and I'll be back when it's time to assemble.